Well, what is up, everybody? Tuboverse TV here today, and we're going to talk about a video clip that has been circulating on the internet about apparently David Jaffe debated a Xbox fan about he doubles down on his take. I covered this take too, that he said that Phil Spencer needs to be fired. He doesn't think he's doing a good job. And he also said that he discredits Metacritic as well because they gave Xbox Metacritic game the Publisher of the Year of last year, and apparently he says it doesn't matter. So it's interesting because you would think, since Metacritic is like it's a accumulation of all these review scores from well-respected gaming websites, so it's kind of odd to say that Metacritic no longer matters. But the Sony guys are celebrating this. Can you imagine if a movie director did the same thing and said, "Hey, the Oscars just don't matter," or I don't know, I guess the equivalent of Metacritic would be like Rotten Tomatoes. If the Rotten Tomatoes score of a movie just doesn't matter, sure, you have some people who say that, like when they have something they like that doesn't score so well, they say, "Hey, that Metacritic score, that Rotten Tomatoes score doesn't matter." But Metacritic is a well-respected source in the gaming community. Like, people do take their opinions with a higher regard. Like, so it doesn't make any sense when he made the statement that Metacritic doesn't matter, because you think he had this one guy on a gotcha moment. But I'll play the clip and we can talk about it afterward. But I still don't understand that stance. It's like, I still don't agree with it, but let's play it.
Metacritic doesn't matter.
Okay, let me ask you, what did you think about the Metacritic Publisher of the Year from, what was that year? It was crazy. 2020, when we started the pandemic. Actually, sorry, 2019, what did you think of it then? Did you actually agree with Metacritic Game of the Year, Publisher of the Year in 2019?
Yes. I mean, that's what the critics think, but what can I think?
No, but do you respect the fact that they gave that publisher? What was the publisher they gave it to in 2018? I forget.
I'm not
Of course you don't know, because nobody gave a fuck about the goddamn Metacritic Publisher of the Year until it became a talking point for you to try to prop up your fucking tribal team.
Okay, so a lot of fanboys are running with this clip right here, celebrating, saying he got the Xbox guy with this point right here. But once again, if you ask a movie director like Zack Snyder or I don't know, whoever, Taika Waititi, about a movie, you caring about like what do I say, Rotten Tomato scores? I mean, and they say they don't care. You'd be kind of weirded out. Like, say you really don't care about what an accumulation of all the people, all these critics, these highly regarded critics in the movie industry, gaming industry, think about this project right here. You really wouldn't care, like. And so I don't get that. It's kind of like saying, hey, we don't care about this Oscar for this one series of films getting let's say animated films, them getting awarded this animation film of the year for this year, and saying, hey, we don't really care because that's not proving our point. It's kind of like, it doesn't matter which side you're on, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, if you're just a neutral in general. People respect places like Metacritic and their review scores, so. Just because he doesn't know what that specific year, what the other different what other different publishers got, or whoever got the best award publisher of the year for those different years, it doesn't discredit that Metacritic is still respected. So I don't get that point right there. And just the whole thing was, while this debate started to begin with, because he used clips of David Jaffe saying, hey, he thinks Phil Spencer needs to be fired. But it's kind of a wild take right there. This is like, really, he needs to be fired when this is the best Xbox has been since the 360 glory days, since 360 generation. So that's because they have one bad year where the stuff was delayed in this new generation. It's like, sure, a lot of stuff was delayed. Got a very few first party Xbox content, but at the end of the day, it's like, this is 1 year. When you look at Sony, how they usually get going with their exclusives, most of their exclusives the first few years are kind of not that great. Like with the PS3 generation, PS4, their first year exclusives aren't great at all, to be honest. Like, none of those other consoles, they're like, when they first came out, the PS4, PS3, maybe want to get those consoles when they first came out. Or even like the PS5, I can say for this generation, Ratchet and Clank and the Returnal, like the two PS5 exclusives, and I could have, if I didn't have a PS5 or a PS4 Pro, I could have been okay with not having a PS5 just yet, to be honest. So I was like, we don't give Sony flack for not having not great years, but Xbox gotta get the most heat, and Phil Spencer needs to be fired. Like, that's just a dumb take right there. And the fact that he doubles down on that just makes zero sense. So But Sony guys were celebrating because David Jaffe, I guess they think he got a gotcha on his Xbox guy. When the same, just give like a week or two. These Sony guys, David Jaffe will say something's gonna piss these guys off, and they're gonna be like, "Screw David Jaffe." So it is kind of hilarious how they are now bigging up David Jaffe. They're popping champagne of what David Jaffe said. So that's interesting. So this guy says, "So I'm not gonna ask who their real code is." He asked because was he having a stroke. This stream was classical last night. Yeah, so they're pretty much just rejoicing, saying, "Hey, Jaffe got this Xbox guy." When I still kind of stand, I still kind of agree with the Xbox guy. I don't think that Phil Spencer needs to be fired. I think that's kind of a ridiculous take. That's just might have just said that so people can go to his channel because that's the point is still kind of ridiculous right there. Another point that just Metacritic doesn't matter now. That doesn't ring too full with me either. Just because you didn't know what was a publisher in 2019. It's like really. Because I remember while I was looking at some of those clips, he was saying like, "Hey, Metacritic of 2021 don't matter because Microsoft Flight Simulator or what was it, the other Kingdom game, the other PC game, got highly acclaimed ratings." And I was like, sure, you may not like it, but there's an audience for that genre of games that people go crazy about that. Like Microsoft Flight Simulator, that was a big deal when that game came out, when the newest one came out, because people haven't had one of those games in a while, and people even like bought like the peripherals for that game. So that game has player base, had his people, diehard fans for that game. People, especially people buying peripherals just to play one game. Like, I mean, so I just don't get it. But yeah, you just see these guys just rejoicing over this. Even though, like, so with this same logic, that means we just don't respect Metacritic then at this point. Nobody respects Metacritic, or we don't take it to that high of regard. And we know Sony guys do. They take Metacritic to a very high standard. Pretty much the whole gaming community does that. So I don't know this whole pick and choose when Metacritic doesn't matter. That's kind of seems like what David Jaffe is doing. Like, Metacritic just doesn't matter, but Sony guys and other instances say it does matter. So it's just weird. Once the stutter started, she had lost all bases of a comeback. Xbox really got what you deserve: exposure and an L. I don't know. I think people are taking too much into it. If a person is stuttering, I mean. Now everybody can come up with the quick comebacks. It's like, okay, I don't know, but this is what Sony guys are going. This is what they're celebrating right now. That Phil Spencer needs to go. When it's like, do anybody really believe that? Like, we're gonna ignore that talking point that David Jaffe made that Phil Spencer needs to go. Really? Because it's one off year. Where this entire generation of Xbox Series generations is better than the Xbox One generation by far. So I just don't see it. Because 1 year is bad. 1 year is bad. I just don't understand why we gotta completely say, hey, you gotta get fired now because you have one bad year of this new generation. Doesn't make sense to me, but okay. Okay, so let's read some more of these comments. This guy says, bro, just delete your console. It is garbage now. Xbox Series X is garbage now because they had one bad year. How many bad years does Sony have? We really talk about bad years. So I was like, really? He said this guy walked into that one, but I think 2018 was around the time PS-centric guys suddenly started carrying out Metacritic scores as well. Yeah, that's when God at Work came out and Spider-Man came out, so it's just kind of hard to believe that we just don't care about Metacritic anymore now. We really just don't care. That's fascinating. So do we not care about Game of the Year, the Game of the Year awards either when that comes out? I'm like, how far are they going to take this narrative that nobody cares about these scores? This guy says, you got to cook something for the fact you don't know what you're talking about. Stay playing mediocre games while keeping your mouth shut on gaming industry business. All we hear is this boy stuttering. Metacritic, Sega 1, 2. Okay. Some of these comments are just wild, really. Online castrations are legal now. Jaffe should be banned for this. I mean, was it really that of a stinger that he said you don't know what Metacritic Publisher of the Year won for the previous years? It's like, okay, and like I said, once again, you can use the same logic with the Oscars. You don't know which animated movie won for that year, then it's like the Oscars just doesn't matter. No one cares about the Oscars now. It's like, really. Yes, I'm included right here. I still don't really say that. Hey, I still agree with Jaffe's talking points. To be honest, mainly the one that Phil Spencer needs to go. That's the main one. That's why I started to begin with. I don't think Phil Spencer needs to go at this point. Now, if it's a continuation of these games just being delayed, which I don't think is going to happen because Starfield and Redfall is coming out next year, then sure, he might have a point. But I don't see that being a thing where it's like fire Phil Spencer immediately. Somebody else needs to do the job better. I just don't see that point right there. So I'm gonna conclude it right here. Definitely want to see your thoughts about this down below. Do you think Jaffe was right? Do you think it was wrong? Any thoughts down below? Leave a like if you like this video. As always, thanks for watching and peace.